hardcores out there. How are you doing? It's Russell from Porky's Corner, the voice of hardcore boxing. Tonight I'm joined by the legendary, the one and only Bachelor from Northern Ireland. It's Kent. Women love him, men want to be him. How are you doing, Kent?
How you doing, Russell? But before we start, I just want to say that's the best intro I've ever got in Porky's Corner, Russell. Ever.
Well, I thought I'd give you a red carpet treatment tonight, Kent. I thought you'd gone on a Bosman to Ultra.
But we'll have to quit way ahead.
Like,
you're never going to give me as good an intro as that ever again,
like
Russell. Ever.
Like Rico doing a Bosman on me. So, what's been going on then, Kent?
Nothing much, Russell. It's St. Patrick's Day in Northern Ireland, so it is, and around the world. So
what does that mean? You're going to get drunk on Guinness and stuff.
Well, there's non-alcoholic Guinness out now as well. So
is that your typical Kent?
None. I don't drink any alcohol at all, but
I
don't like the taste of it. But anytime I actually have a non-alcoholic drink, I have the worst headache ever. It's like I don't even want to drink non-alcoholic drinks now. I think it's the content of sugar in them. There's just so much sugar in non-alcoholic drinks.
Yeah. Tell me about boxing at the moment, Ken. Tell me what's going on here. Tell me.
It's just there's more going outside of the ring than there is actually going on in the ring, Russell. Where do you want to start in the pantomime? Where do you want to begin?
Well, our boxers now just wanted to get famous and not box anybody and just be talked about for other stuff and not fighting anybody.
I was talking to someone yesterday about the Tommy Fury and Jake Paul fight, and they were saying to me that how bad it was and how bad it was for boxing, and I said, well, yes, it is, but there's a new dynamic now. Having a massive social media following is like having an Olympic gold medal in the 80s. It just gives you so much exposure. It gives you a platform. It gives you an opportunity to make a lot of money. So, and my argument was there. You look at Bud Crawford's last fight on BKB card in America.
Yeah,
and he was given $10 million to fight the European champion, and it only got, I think they calculated after 2 weeks, there was only 10,000 pay-per-view buys. And that, for me, like, that's arguably one of the top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Then you've got the likes of Jake Paul fighting Tyron Woodley. He's not even a boxer, and getting over 300,000 pay-per-view buys. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. I think social media is actually taking over sport. It's actually bigger than sport now.
Yeah, it is. It's shocking what's going on, isn't it, really? Because this kind of end thing, that what angers me is it's number 7 in rankings in it, right? It's as if it didn't happen, isn't it? And Conor Benn's not beat anybody yet, as he's number 7 in rankings, and these drug issues have been blown away. They're gone. And Tommy Fury's really not done anything, and he's ranked higher than Vito O'Reilly in WBC. You could make it up, yeah.
It's madness, and the crazy thing about this whole WBC thing, Russell, is Conor Ben.
So I mean, what they've shown what they're about, aren't they? WBC. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Any of these people that do views like Tommy Fury and Conor Ben, they're untouchable, aren't they? Untouchable gang, aren't they?
The WBC have been doing this for years. So you go back, I'll give you a couple of instances, and you go back when Georgia, one of the Roccagiani brothers, won the WBC title. Then they took it off him and gave it to Roy Jones. And he went, took the WBC to court of arbitration, won a massive lawsuit, and there was a settlement or whatever.
Got millions.
Then you look,
got millions, didn't he?
Millions, absolutely millions of pounds. I actually think he earned more for that arbitration case than he did in his whole career. But
that belt though, didn't he? He had the belt though, didn't he?
He had the belt, yeah. He won a WBC world title, and he got a fortune off them. He was a good fighter. I remember two of the Johnnies. But going back to the WBC, and last year there was that whole thing as well with a fighter failing a drugs test, and they basically said that what they classed it was competition was the day before the weigh-in and the night of the fight. So basically, you were allowed to basically take whatever you wanted in that period, and it was actually Oscar Valdez, and the WBC let the fight happen. Top Rank let the fight happen. And for me, it was a terrible, terrible stain in boxing. But it's just an absolute disgrace. And the crazy thing about it is, Russell, Conor Benn was actually boxing for all those stupid WBA trinket belts. He's never fought for a WBC trinket belt.
The lowest ranking WBA belt under the Continental. That's the lowest one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I've lost track how many.
It's Skid Row of belts, isn't it? The WBA Continental.
Yeah, it's like a WBA stainless steel interim Continental belt. It's absolutely worthless, but it just goes to show you he was ranked with the WBA fighting for their trinket belts. And why did the randomly did the WBC just pop up and stick their noses into something that wasn't really anything to do with them?
Because they want to get them pound notes. They don't want these fighters being put out of action with bans, do they, and things like that. That's why these kind of things happen. But the WBC, well, who can you give any credit to out of any of them? Can you? Maybe IBF now, but they were first ones to get done, weren't they? Busted, weren't they? Them, about 39 years ago, wasn't it? 1984. They were they're not squeaky clean, are they? And they have to present their books every year, don't they, now, to IRS and FBI.
If you go back and you look at all the history of the sanctioning bodies, they all have made stupid mistakes. Look at what happened that time with Ali. They took the WBA took the belt off him, and I think it went to Mike Weaver at the time, and he was the Muhammad Ali, yeah, the stripped Muhammad Ali, remember? Way back.
That one in the 60s.
Yeah.
They Mike Weaver, he wasn't about them Mike Weaver, were he?
Let me see. There was something I remember.
Did Joe Frazier fight somebody for it? Jimmy Ellis?
I'm just checking here. There was this whole thing. Well, Ali was stripped of a belt anyway, because he I think it was the WBC. He fought for a WBC, and at that time, the sanctioning bodies kind of didn't like other fighters unifying. So there was a whole.
You mean at the time they were only the WBA and the WBC, weren't they? Are you saying they split them up, the belt?
Yeah.
Well, that would have been in the 70s, wouldn't it? Because I don't think it'd have been in the 60s, would it?
No, it wasn't. I'm just trying to. But it goes back, there's
I remember
multiple.
Ken Norton, what first guy to be declared the first world champion, wasn't he? Without fighting it ring for a belt, wasn't he? You remember that one?
Yeah.
Ken
Norton. He was the first.
That was WBC, wasn't it? They've got a rap sheet as long as whatever.
It's there's no consistency with any sanctioning bodies now, and you said there that who you thought was probably the most credible of all the sanctioning bodies. So you're probably talking IBF, and you're probably talking IBO. but IBO don't have mandatories. So if they had mandatories, if the IBO actually had mandatories, they would be more credible.
They get
But the
around all
ranking
this
system
mandatory stuff, don't they? They
is
step
is is
aside,
really
don't
good.
they? Ken,
Yeah.
they get around all this mandatory stuff with step aside, don't they, though? And it's a unified, it supersedes a mandatory, and all, there's ways around it. So what does it all mean, all these mandatories are about? They're just doing what they want anyway, aren't they, all of them?
So there's that.
They're inventing it, aren't they? They're reinventing the wheel. Oh yeah, you've got to have a dope test, or you can't fight for us, and have a ranking. Okay, you failed 2 dope tests. Oh, but it's okay. We've looked into it, and you don't look the type contamination you can fight, but you can't do it in England. What is that? Does that mean that testing program is now a farcical? Because it does, doesn't it? It doesn't bring it into disrepute. It's like Al Capone being in charge of all bootleggers, isn't it? Him being head of commission bootlegging into USA, and Al Capone being in charge, isn't it? That's all right. Go on, let it through. Go on.
And
Canadian
what
order.
it's crazy now that because I watched that nonsense last week on the Pierce Morgan show, and for me that was him getting in there to sell himself to the casuals. It was about mind mapping and programming the casuals to think that he hadn't failed a test, he hadn't done anything wrong. The casuals are the people that buy bulks of the pay-per-views, where the hardcores actually know what's going on. So it was a show just completely aimed at the casuals, and the very fact that he said that they found traces of it in his body. And then another sentence later, he said that there was none of it in his body. The WBC put out a dossier about eggs consumption. Now he's saying it wasn't in his body in the first place. When you tell a lie, you have to tell multiple lies after it. And I think it's just an absolute
It's a
mess.
bit of a disaster, and apparently old man's behind it, isn't he? Old man's been about, yeah, what we'll do, Connor, son, what we'll do, son, we'll get Piers Morgan on the job. That's what they've done. It's his pal, isn't it?
Bruv.
That's what's done. Father's, dealing with everything, advising him because he's been through it all before, which you can understand, can't you? But it's they're carrying it around like a piano on the back. Only way out for them now is to go, well, we've gone guilty. We don't know how it's in the system. We took note. I'm a clean athlete. We're going to take it on chin. We can't fight in England 2 years now, but we're going to fight abroad anyway. So it ain't like a band. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to front it out as we didn't take note. We still carried on fighting. So what? We didn't fight in Britain for a bit, but we come back. Now we're back. That's what's going to happen. That's the only card left for them to play in it.
Well, by people turning around and saying that, yeah, he'll take it in the chin and all. It's too late for that now. They've already turned around and said multiple times. They've given 2 different excuses for it being in the system. They can't turn around and say, no, yeah, I took it. I'm guilty. I'll serve my ban. I'll come back. I'll do whatever. So that will be basically, well, you lied to us this time. When else have you lied? But the whole thing about ripping up the British license and cancelling his license so he wouldn't get served a ban by the board. That's just absolutely it's very sneaky, Russell, isn't it? It's not in the best interest of the sport, really, is it?
Is he bigger than ever now, though? Crusher Ben, the Crushinator.
I hate to say it, but no matter when he comes back and where he comes back, people will tune in to see what he's like after this ban and after this drug ban, and has he still got this power? Is he still knocking people out? It'll kind of maybe be on like a misfit boxing road show against faded legends. It's kind of like See, it's kind of like I'm actually going to talk like Taria for a bit here and go WWE. It's kind of like when you bring in a new star, you create a heel, you create the body, and what you do is you bring in the former veterans, the former champions, and you feed them to him, and it builds, even more of the public perception against him. But people will tune in. That's what I see Matchroom actually doing with them. The talk of the Pacquiao fight away,
Wants
but
to
probably
see that man. He's 45 in a few months.
nobody
So
wants to
that
see it.
about man? Is that what? Is that what? Aren't they going to risk him anyway if he loses to Pacquiao? Well, it's Manny Pacquiao, isn't it? If he wins,
The the
they
the
just get more
con
millions, and then they're in the same position 6 months
no,
down the line that they're in now. They're not further on with their career. Are they fighting Manny Pacquiao? Come on, what's this
they
show?
they can't risk him now because they've built up this poor me. He's a clean athlete. He made a mistake. They've put a lot of money into him, and if they put him in with somebody notable and dangerous, and he lost, people would turn around and say, "Yeah, you must have been taking drugs. You're not taking it now, and that's why you were beat." So that's why they can't risk him in a live fight. He's going to probably fight this type of opposition for the next 18 months.
Well, why don't they dig Junior Witter up for him then? Junior Witter probably beats him.
It's going to be like a legends tour. That's what's going to happen. It's kind of like a freak show heel bad guy type freak attraction,
Do you
and
think
it's going to
Conor
get
Ben's going to
viewership.
be one of them people known as like, well, after all this hype and all this, is that best they can come up with? Manny Pacquiao or Kelly Brook? Kell Brook. Heads up, fans, Bobby. Kell Brook. What is that? What's he with Conor Ben and Kell Brook? What is that? Brook should be retired and Conor Ben should be banned. Who want to see that? Well, that'd have to be in Saudi, wouldn't it, if you don't fight in UK?
I can't see that fight going
See that?
Saudi,
I
Russell.
know.
That
God.
fight, there's all that. There was that video with the recreational activities. I don't think Saudi would want him over. They're very strict on drugs and alcohol
Who
and
is?
everything.
Who is?
Saudi,
Oh,
over
you
in
know,
Saudi.
I don't want to go over there, mate. You can imagine me with what I get up to. Walking around, I'd be walking around with a flipper for an arm, wouldn't I?
So I couldn't see that fight happening, and I don't know, what would happen. He's not going to fight for the board anytime soon, and I can't see anybody taking that fight away to America or anything else because who would really care about that? Personally, I don't see that happening. I just see them wheeling them out against faded fighters. They've been doing it, Russell. They've been basically doing that for the last 2 years. They've been digging out former fighters, former
Digging out
challengers.
Chris Algieri and that other geezer. What was that about?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the
And now
standard.
they're on about digging Manny Pacquiao up. He's an old man who started out as a strawweight, didn't he?
That's the precedent. That's what they're actually. That's what they've
Oh,
built.
crushing Ben, we're crushing people. He's seventh ranked in WBC. Well, shouldn't he surely be going for them above him now? What about an eliminator? Or, he's not going to get a final eliminator. What about an eliminator and chase down the champion at WBC? What about that route? The route his dad went. The crusher route, the big hype route, the heated seats, the, steering wheel wrap, all that nonsense he chats. What about all that?
Well, he's rated in number 10 in box rack now. Not that I take
Number 7
everything.
box. No, wait, number WBC. Yeah, number 10 box. Yeah. Well, why aren't you chasing them above him then?
There's even Avanesian who lost to Bud
Didn't want to
Crawford.
fight him, did he? David Avenetian that rolled the dice, didn't he? He's been there, he'll been a world champion, but he was still rolling dice. One day you've got to give him credit, haven't we?
Yeah, there's Boots
Crusher didn't want to
Ennis.
fight him, did he? The Crusher
No, he did
Knights,
not. No, he didn't. There's Virgil Ortiz Jr. There's Ugas. He's probably the most beatable out of all of them. Ugas. Then there's the two at top. There's Crawford and Spence. I can't see that happening anytime soon. They're not fighting. Earl Spence Jr. now is 33 years old. Bud Crawford is 35. I can't really see them staying around at welterweight. There's nothing for them at welterweight. For me, it's Jerome Ennis and Ortiz Jr. It's not really a really, really stacked division worldwide. It's domestically, obviously we know he run away from domestic, but what you're saying about there is, why is he not fought for an eliminator, or why is he not fought for a final eliminator? He doesn't need to. That's the type of thing you don't really need to do now in boxing. And I hate to be cynical, but if you've got a following and you've got
a profile, I was about to say, you said following, I was going to say profile. Yeah, Conor Benn's got the following and the hype, but he's done nothing to achieve the hype, has he?
No, he's got the hype train behind him at Matchroom.
Can't keep pushing him out as King Kong when really he's not King Kong, is he?
No, he's not. He's not. He's not.
He's like a mini King Kong, very small one that's not tested at any level, not even British level. Chris Conger and McKinson turn him on his head.
There's even the other lad there.
Who's the other kid as well? The other
Echo Esserman. He's a really good fighter.
Yeah, there's him as well.
He's a brilliant fighter.
Conor Ben don't even dream about them boys' names. Echo Esserman, Congo, and Michael McKinson.
No, definitely not.
Them boys. To be embarrassed. It's not even
no.
They would tear him apart. Punch him upside down, touch him up.
But he is like a project, so there's three projects. There's three Matchroom projects. So there's the Anthony Joshua project.
Yeah.
For me, that finished when Fury come back.
Yeah.
You've got Conor Ben project, which is on hold. Then you've got the Campbell Hatton project. They're all
hands of foam.
The hands of foam.
Hands of foam. Hey. What about Matthew Hatton, trainer, saying what we're saying? Bob your way in or something, and all that. And that's supposed to be for like seasoned fighters and all that. I don't know.
He's really good at
picking at his training techniques, because he's a young trainer, isn't he, Matthew? But hey, listen, Campbell Hatton's won every fight. Well, we should say Matthew Hatton doesn't know what he's doing.
He's trying his best. I suppose every fighter's got their ceiling for natural ability. It's unfair because you're comparing him to his dad, who was a seasoned amateur. Like,
what is he now? 11-0 him or something?
I think he's 9-0 or something like that, or 10-0.
10-0 or something. So he should be ready for an area belt now, or an English,
So we've got those three projects. You've got the AJ project that was given an Olympic medal, was given an IBF from Charlie Martin because Fury had retired and had all that stuff in the background.
Given a WBO off Parker.
Yeah, given it the platter.
IBO and WBA.
Yeah, he was.
When Louis Ortiz should have really been upgraded to champion by Eddie, but Eddie signed Ortiz before. Am I right?
And through Dave Allen and the Gallows with
Louis
Ortiz
as the blocker and Dave Allen as the lamb to the slaughter, didn't they?
Yeah. So you've got that.
Please, Eddie Allen. He jumped in, did their dirty work for him when really it should have been Joshua. in with him. And you know what? Dave Allen should have been in with Eric Molina. Well,
Yeah,
remember it all. Because you know
yeah.
what? You know what? Dave Allen on his night, I think he'd have put him to Kip Molina. He should have been in
Eric
with
Molina's
Ortiz.
nobody.
Shouldn't have been in with Ortiz because after that fight, you think, you know what? I'm just going to get what I can out of the game. Got rattled to death in that fight off a world class fighter. Shouldn't have been
Yeah,
in with him.
top class. So
Shouldn't have
so
been
you've
in
got
with
the
him. Shouldn't have been.
you've
Oh,
you've got that Anthony Joshua project. You've got the Conor Ben project, and you've got the Campbell Hatton project, and all of them fighters are all there on hype. They're not there on merit. They're not there on. You look at you look at going the domestic route and working your way up. British,
hey, Joe.
English.
Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
You look at Dan Aziz. Who's how many domestic fighters have got a resume domestically as good as Dan Aziz? Probably nobody. It's
Callum Smith.
well, you look at Dan Aziz. Was area English, British, Commonwealth, and European. I think Callum Smith was British and European. He was never Commonwealth champion. So I think Dan Aziz is the first ever to
Oh,
have
I thought he were Commonwealth as well, Callum Smith. No.
all the belts. No, I don't think he was. So you look at that. He's in the top 10 in the world at the minute
Yeah.
on merit.
Yeah.
He's going to get a world title shot on merit. You look at those three names there, and it's all down to the hype. They're not going to get the world, and if they do get the world level, they'll be exposed because they're not there on merit.
Yeah. Dan Aziz though has learnt his craft, hasn't he?
Oh, it's
He's got to be fighter
unbelievable.
at year. Him and Max Hughes have got to be fighter at year, aren't they? Surely.
Well, Natasha Jonas actually got
Not women, yeah, but women, yeah.
she I think she got overall.
How did she? Oh, well done to Natasha Jonas. I didn't
I
know
think
that.
she got overall, yeah, and she deserved it, to be
Terry never
honest.
mentioned no. Terry never mentioned no. He's a big Natasha fan.
She deserved it, but for next year, for me, it's you look at his domestic resume. Like he's beat from starting off in his what is it fifth or sixth fight he fought and beat a faded Charles Adamu,
Yeah.
who's a good fighter. Reese Cartwright, Shaquan Peters, Rocky Fielding, Hosea Burton, Ricky Summers, and the list goes on. Up right up until his fight at the weekend there. So he's beat everyone. At his domestic level. You take out Yard, who was kind of fringe world level fighting. Looking for a world title shot. Bawatsi in
He's
absolutely
done
no
well
man's
though.
land.
Yard's held his own against two killers, hasn't he? Really.
He does, and he deserves credit.
We have to
And
give his credit, his trainer credit, even though we've slated him in the past. We've got to give Tunde credit, haven't we, this time, Ken?
absolutely, we kind of always have. We haven't been too critical on him, and a lot of the other sites and a lot of the other commentators and a lot of the people and all the comments is like he should dump Tunde. Well, he had 12 amateur fights with Tunde.
Yeah.
He has developed them. He has, won an area belt. He's won British. He's won Commonwealth. They went to Russia to fight Kovalev and were ahead on points on I think it was let me see on one of the cards. I think he
Well,
was
they
up
were
on.
red against Kovalev. You're having a laugh, aren't you? What, when he got stopped?
Well, he gets stopped on exhaustion more so than getting put in the orbit. It was more an experience thing. I don't think he had that. He hadn't that depth in his record.
Yeah.
But when you're offered a WBO world title shot away from home, in Russia, you have to take them opportunities because if he didn't take it, he would be slated. He stayed with Tunde. They've worked on things. He come back from that bad loss to Lyndon Arthur. Personally, I think he should not have been in the ring in that fight. I think it was more Frank's fault. He lost a lot of relatives, and that whole COVID, the time during COVID. So he's done really, really well. And Tunde's done well. They've brought in James Cook. I think James Cook was a European champion, a British champion. And James Cook was actually the first person to beat Michael Watson. So he knows.
Beat Obama Graham as well, or Michael Watson.
He was the first man to beat Michael Watson.
Michael Watson, yeah, one of that, from that era, one of that 80s era.
What a great era. And he works really hard in his community. And I think he's an MBE for services to the community and boxing.
It was Frank Grant, wasn't it? I think who beat Obama Graham.
So they've done really, really well. I thought he'd done really well against Beterbiev. I think there was times in the fight where he looked dangerous. He looked sharp. He's improved a lot. He was really humble after it. He spoke really, really. I became a fan of Anthony Yard. Anthony Yard. Yeah, just the way he's spoken all after it. He was really humble.
He comes over all right, doesn't he, Yard? Doesn't he? Yeah, and I like him, Yard. He comes over okay, doesn't he?
He's made this thing, and he basically said,
"Look, mouth, is he?"
No, he's not. He's learned a lot. He comes across really well now, where maybe before he didn't, and he said a lot of good things. He says, "Look, boxing's got me away from knife crime, and there's so much to do out there other than being in the street." So there was a real good positive to that fight. I think next somebody like Joe Smith and the light heavyweight division would be a great fight for him, and even maybe somebody like Gilberto Ramirez. You're looking maybe a Pascal or something like that, or maybe a Craig Richards.
Well, Pascal's in it coming up 41, isn't he now? He's knocking on a bit now, isn't he?
Yeah, Pascal. It's more name brand recognition that I'm talking about. That there with him, he's failed more drug tests than Big Pharmacy Miller.
Should jog him on. He's a copper as well. He's a copper in Quebec, so jog him on, old Bill. Jog.
I triggered you there, Russell. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to trigger you there.
It's like after a pot green at snooker, isn't it? My mind goes rushing through me when I go down to the brown.
Triggers. It's good to talk about your triggers, Russell. It really is.
In Kent now, geez, man. All I'm thinking about now is how I can get out of the house to get some foil. I'm only joking, mate. I don't miss them days. So yeah, DC Yard fighting Callum Smith at any point, Ken?
I don't know. I think Callum Smith. I think Callum Smith is waiting it out. I think he's waiting for a massive payday. When you have that money, he had that money against Calano. He must have got a career highest purse for that fight. So what are you going to do? You're going to go back down to fighting at European level money or domestic money, or do you just wait it out and get a really, really big fight? For me, it looks like he's just sitting waiting for a big fight. Now, if it was me personally, I don't want to see Callum Smith against. I don't want to see Callum Smith against Beterbiev. I want to see Dmitry Bivol against Berbatov. For Undisputed. I'm not really a big fan of Undisputed anyway. I think it's just a blocker for all other fighters. but you look at the best two fighters in the division, and probably two top 5 pound for pound fighters. You would want to see that before you see Callum Smith.
Yeah. Right, Ken, we're gonna have a break now for some refreshment, so we'll rejoin in an hour, yeah?
I'm gonna go for an 8K run, so I'll see
All
you.
right. See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
Porky's Corner is proud to be sponsored by Spartan Site Solutions. They are specialists in civil engineering and demolition contracts for the construction industry. Interested parties should visit their website or contact Porky's Corner for a referral at porkycorner@mail.com.